Hello, fellow warriors against consensus reality, lovers of truth, wisdom, the esoteric path, lovers of irreverence and sarcasm. Nice quiet morning. No normie gobshites, just the way I like it. Nicely overcast, and I suppose it's been a little while since my last video, so here it is. What has been happening? Well, shall we say, a confirmation of my position as a lone wolf and a hermit, for one. As more time goes by, as more of the unwashed masses show themselves to be mindless consumers, passive slaves to the great system. I do use great in relation to size, not in relation to accomplishment. But you've seen how totally fucked up the whole system is, with such wonderful things as the Rings of Power Amazon TV series. Yes, by all means, let's forget where literature and drama, theatre, and by extension TV and cinema come from, Europe. And let's try to turn something as innocent as a fantasy world creation by one of the greatest writers of the modern age let's turn that into the modern world, with its fixation on skin colour, which of course I hope you're starting to realise that it's a fake device of division to keep us fighting amongst each other instead of focusing on, quote unquote, them, and how they're slowly taking away all our freedoms and we're just sitting back and letting them do it because we're too busy fixating on what's between our legs and what colour our skin is, because that's the way they want it, right? But apart from that, we're living in a world where, as I said, something as simple as a fantasy fiction creation, and of course the whole point of fantasy fiction to begin with is to escape this fucked up world, not infect it with this fucked up world. Which part of escapism do these people not understand? But I digress. By the way, my departure from all little subsects of the YouTube dramasphere have been fantastic. I have no idea what these people are doing, and neither do I want to. These people are basically going to spend the rest of their lives obsessing on live streams and talking absolute shite about other people in their own little dramasphere, and the next week they're going to switch allegiances, and the one they used to call friend is going to be their enemy, and on it goes. It's like they're toxic drama energy junkies, and they won't stop. They don't want to stop. And for one's peace of mind, it is best to remove oneself from every trace of it. Now, one of these people, who is one of the most deluded gobshites I've ever had the misfortune of coming across or dealing with on YouTube, the above mentioned fake life coach, and I happen to sort of come across, because even though I'm not subscribed, whatever, sometimes when you hit home on YouTube, it sometimes comes up even though you're no longer subscribed. And it was the funniest video title I've ever seen by that dope little gobshite. I'll actually read the exact title for you. I just found it hilarious, and it illustrated perfectly the level of delusion from some of these people, and I quote, Your own opinion of yourself is all that matters, nothing else. So as per the title of today's video, I will be refuting a few simple things that this dopey gobshite said. And dear oh dear. So let me see. So, right. If a person is totally devoid of any self-awareness, namely the above mentioned fake life coach, and they haven't done any kind of inner work whatsoever, and they have a fake ego mind tainted image of themselves or belief about themselves, then that's all that matters. Nothing else, right? So let me see. No introspection, no searching within, no dark night of the soul, which of course these days and the effective dark night of the soul involve you wrestling with your own ego mind for control of your sense of I, right? But no, none of that matters. Let's not do any of the actual work, right? Let's just fixate on the current mistaken ego mind belief about ourselves, and that's all that matters, nothing else. Can you imagine how absolutely fucked in the head a person approaching 50 would have to be to actually believe that? And dare to call themselves a life coach, or dare to think they have any ability to help anybody with anything in their life whatsoever. Yeah, I know, mind blown with a level of delusion and lack of self-awareness. I know, that's just the way many people are these days. Because many people these days are not being authentic. Many people these days are creating this false little mask, illusion mask of themselves that they wish to project to all around them. Both in the online world. In the online world, it's easy to do so. You emphasize certain aspects of yourself and keep others to yourself, so you can create who you are online without anyone knowing any better. But these people, they focus on careers and positions, and let's spend the rest of our lives in heavy debt for a building, right? Yeah, that's the Australian dream, owning your own home, which of course in this country you don't actually own the land. It's still called Crown land. So you're paying $1.9 million for a building. And if the government or local council, state government, whatever, need to build a road through your home to extend an existing road, there's not a damn thing you can do about it. You do not own the land in this country. I know, because I've done survey drafting. I've still got my associate diploma gathering dust in my folder, right? It's all Crown land. So imagine that level of delusion where people are paying exorbitant amounts of money for a vehicle, which of course the moment you put, well, it's no longer key in the ignition anymore, is it? The moment you drive it out of the car dealership, it depreciates in value. So why are people spending 90, 100,000 Australian dollars for a Tesla? I have no fucking idea. I never have driven. I had my learner's driver's license for a while, but it ran out. The only good thing about it was ID purposes. I find the whole thing unnatural and a waste of a hell of a lot of time, energy and resources to keep a car on the road. No thank you. And a motorbike? Well, I've seen enough of those bikers versus angry people videos to know that people are absolutely fucked in the head, and in this day and age, no thank you. I find the whole thing unnatural. I'm a bus and car and train man, and I'm happy with that. I never really had the need for a car. Never really felt the desire to want a car. And as soon as I turned 17, I wasn't one of those normies who went out, oh, okay, I'm 17 now, I want to get my driver's license. I wasn't one of those. As I kept telling people, the only metal I want is my music, not to be surrounded by a shell of metal, right? That's me. But I digress. So, if you can imagine today's world, I'll add another point relating to the above mentioned fake life coach before I move on. If you can imagine a world today where, I'm sure many of you guys already know how deluded the modern female is, the modern young female especially, how that they have been so easily manipulated and brainwashed by this whole fake feminism agenda, which of course I'll reiterate once again, they don't care about women or gay people or any of the other alphabet people or black people or disabled people or fuck knows what other isms that these people like to fixate and have a wank over. They don't care. They don't care. The system, they, quote unquote, they do not give a fuck about women. You're being used and manipulated. Yes, people walking by, hopefully you fucking learned something. That's right. You're being manipulated and used. They don't give a fuck about women. So, of course, today's young women, they have such... in relation to dating and seeking someone with the aim of a relationship, their standards are so through the roof that it's just... they're lost in delusion and they will die alone, and they will reach their 30s, 40s, 50s and realise, oh fuck, I have no husband, no family, and I will die alone with my cats. Yes, you will. Because see, a lot of these... see, what simping guys like the above fake life coach don't realise is that these young women have incredibly overblown opinions of themselves, number one, and as a result they have an incredibly overblown opinion of what kind of man they deserve, because they're all queens now, remember, right? They're all convinced that they're queens and they deserve the best, the 5% of the top 5% of men. So you've got 70-80% of women all fighting for these top 5% of men, you know, and so they require someone who has the top jobs, who very bare minimum earn $150,000 a year. They're over 6 feet tall. They have the perfect body, perfect this, perfect that, and a whole long list of other requirements which no normal, hard-working, wonderful man can ever fit, because they're deluded. No such... very few men exist. I mean, people have done the numbers. I think it's as low as 2, 3, 4%, right? And that's being generous. And that's not including men who are not straight either, right? So let's reduce that down to, say, 1.9 to 2% of the entire male population. And so a lot of these, an increasing percentage of these women are all deluded in thinking that they're going to get one of these guys so they can sit on their ass and do something, occasionally open their legs for them, and do nothing and get them to pay for everything and pretend they're queens, right? This is the kind of delusion we're talking about. They don't want a good man with a good heart who's loyal and honest and true and loving and all the rest of it, who will stick by them and all the other wonderful things that people used to idealise. No, that's all gone out the window. It's fancy prostitution. So when we say that a man doesn't care about the woman's job, we're talking about it in relation to seeking a partner, you dumb fuck. Not, oh, these men, these red-pilled MGTOW men, yeah, for whatever reason, this fucking little cunt has an axe to grind against men going their own way. I have no fucking idea why. Be a good little simp. worship your barfly, your drunken barfly, and fuck off. Alright? But I digress. And so a lot of these guys you'll find in my own search, these men are worse than the batshit crazy feminists, because they're the ones that are enabling this behaviour. The simps, right? The pussy beggars. And the thing is, the reason why I no longer use the moniker MGTOW is because a lot of these PUA pussy begging, because that's all PUA is, pussy begging, right? A lot of these pussy beggars have infected MGTOW and turned it into, ooh, I'll help you get the most money, the best body, so you can be more attractive to women and be a bigger pussy beggar. So instead of focusing on improving yourself for your own self-respect and own self-love, and, well, that's the most important thing, right? Gaining your own approval and your own validation, they're externalizing it. And I find in my travels and in my search, this group of quote-unquote men are worse than the feminists. So that's basically it. Oh, another amusing story before I go. See, that's the thing, you know, when I do go out of my way to try to help people, people show me the true colours of what absolute gobshites they are. There was a gentleman, I won't go through the whole story. It basically involved this rough-looking, quote-unquote, gentleman offering to mow my lawn, whatever, and I thought, okay, I'll help a person out, right? And of course, there was a whole misunderstanding on his part, and showed me he was totally devoid of any kind of respect or honour of any kind, and it ended with me actually threatening to beat the shit out of him if he came around to my house ever again. And the moment I actually started to, he got a bit mouthy there, and the moment I started to open the screen door and show how angry I was, he nearly tripped over his feet getting away down the steps. So, lesson learnt, moral of the story is, as Ebenezer Scrooge in the 1970 film Scrooge with Albert Finney and Alec Guinness would say, I hate people, I loathe people, people are despicable creatures. Yeah, it's at the very beginning of the film. The song is actually called I Hate People. And I'm actually living in this era, 2022, I'm actually understanding the man a lot more. You still will find some good people, but they're very few and far between, and very difficult to find, and getting fewer. The good people, the people who actually have heart and they know, right? They're compassionate and all the rest of that. They're getting very fewer and far between, which is a sad state of affairs. Because for the most part today, people increasingly, unfortunately, mindless consuming cunts. And when you focus on improving yourself, your own little world, and cocooning yourself in your own little bubble, that seems to be what works for me anyway. And be careful with who you offer kindness to. It's a very precious thing, and it usually is shat upon and taken advantage of and really not appreciated. Yeah, kindness is a very precious thing. Don't waste it. And if someone calls themselves a life coach, run for your life. All right. To speak the truth is a very fucking lonely path. The fake life coach slang, heathen hammer wielding lone wolf on guitar, 8.